Hi, and Happy New Year wherever you are. It's January the 1st, 2018 when this is uploaded, which is crazy. We're closer to 2030 than 2004. That is weird. So today, to celebrate 2017 being over and the only thing I talked about for the entire year being music, I thought I would share a few of my music favourites from 2017. All of these albums or EPs or singles or whatever were things that were released last year, because there was also loads of stuff that I discovered last year but that had been released a few years ago, but the list would literally be endless if I included those things. So today I'm just going to talk about the stuff that came out last year, but if you do want to look at all the other stuff, I'll link my Spotify in the description, or it's at Lucy Isabel with 2 A's like everything else. The start of last year for charts music was really bad. It was all just really repetitive and rubbish, but then towards the end charts music got really good towards the end. However, most of this stuff, like some of it was in the charts, but a lot of this stuff you might not have heard of, so yeah, let's go. I'm gonna do them in alphabetical order because that's how they're organised on my Spotify, but yeah, this is just alphabetical order, it's not order of my favourites or anything like that. The first one is After Laughter by Paramore. Honestly, I wasn't even like that into Paramore before After Laughter came out, but there was so many people talking about it online that I gave it a listen and I really, really like it. I remember my English teacher at the time, actually, when it first came out, playing Hard Times in lesson because he's like that type of music guy. I hadn't really heard much of Paramore before. Obviously I'd heard all the ones that are like big, like Ain't It Fun and that type of thing, but I hadn't really listened to them properly, and I am glad that I listened to them properly after this album because I really like them. Hayley Williams is amazing. I think my favourite songs are probably Idol Worship. That one was like the song of summer 2017. I loved it so much. And then Told You So and Rose Colored Boy, and then Fake Happy is really good as well. I would play the songs, by the way, but I'd get copyrighted. Next is All We Know Heaven, All We Need of Help by Paris with a V. I loved Paris before this came out. White Noise was an amazing album. This album topped White Noise, which is a hard thing to do. Why am I holding my phone up like you can see the screen? It came out, I think, the day before I went to Ireland back in April, and I listened to it on repeat for the entire plane journey to Belfast. And my favourite songs from this one are probably Walk Alone, which is like the best song. It's not, because I'm going to say that about like 50 songs in this video, but it's such a good song, and Half and Winter and Save Soul and all of them are just so good. If you haven't listened to Paris, you should. They're kind of like alternative rock. I suppose this album's a little bit more poppy, but White Noise was a bit more rock. And they're fronted by a woman, Lincoln, which is kind of rare in alternative rock bands for some reason, like the big ones. Obviously I've just said Paramore and that's fronted by Hayley Williams, but yeah, I really like it when alternative rock bands are fronted by women because it kind of gets rid of the whole feminine stereotype of female voices and it's a bit more like, yeah, you get me. Next is American Teen by Khalid. Oh my god, this is such a good album. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm sorry for the amount of times I've talked about this, but I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. I actually found him through Nathan's ad. It's his debut album. If you're gonna listen to any songs from this, you've probably already heard Young, Dumb and Broke, because that's like a big song, obviously. But my personal favourites are Therapy, Cold Blooded, Saved, which is the music video for Saved. Oh my god. Keep Me, 18, Coaster. Honestly, all of them are incredible. There's a lot of music that came out last year that I've been meaning to listen to for like months. For example, the Brockhampton like Saturation thing. All 3 of them. I haven't listened to any of them yet. So if you have any recommendations for music that came out last year that I don't mention in this video, please leave them in the comments because I like listening to new music. Next is Bambino by Superfood. Superfood are a much smaller band than the other 3 that I've just mentioned. Khalid's not a band, but you get what I mean. But I'm seeing them live next year because they're supporting Declan McKenna and I'm going to see one of his shows next year. So I gave this album a listen and it's really, really good. I'm so excited to see them live. Next is Broken Machine by Nothing But Thieves, the deluxe version because I like the acoustics. Oh, this album. I think like a lot of people who listen to this, I first listened to it because I'd seen them on Instagram on the advertisement thing and I liked the album art because it is so pretty, it's so nice. But then I listened to it and it's such a good album. I haven't looked into them that much, but I think the singer's called Connor, and I love his voice. And the whole like sort of sound of the songs, it's kind of rock, but it's really upbeat and it's not full-on rock. Like a lot of it's got a lot of pop influence and some of them are acoustic, like Soda, and obviously the acoustics that are on the deluxe album. So it's a really really varied album. I think there's something on there for everyone. If you like his voice, you should definitely listen to that because it's so good. One of my favourites from last year, I think. Next is Don't Smile at Me by Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish is one of my favourite people at the moment. Can't believe she's only 15. Like, how can you be that cool when you're only 1 year older than me? That's not allowed. But she honestly, like, for someone who's 50, she is like living the life. She's like playing at Chanel and she's got like this best-selling album and stuff, and it is such a good album. It definitely deserves all the best-selling stuff and everything. But the first song I listened to was Copycat because that's the first one on the album, or EP. Is it an EP? I don't know. No, it's an album, I think. But Copycat is very different to the rest of the album, I think. It's a bit more hardcore, but not in the way it sounds because it's a pop song. I would say it's a pop album, like pop alternative. And by hardcore, I mean more the lyrics than the sound of it. And then obviously the other ones are as well. I suppose, no, it's the sound of it as well. I mean, it does have like screaming in the background in some parts of it, but not like heavy metal screaming. And then there's a lot of the other ones are a lot more kind of like soft and relaxing, not the lyrics, but the sound of it, such as like Ocean Eyes and Hostage. I love Hostage so much. I think Copycat and My Boy are the most kind of like quick, not upbeat, like the music is upbeat, but the lyrics aren't, but not in like a really sad way. It's kind of, it's really hard to explain. She's really unique. You should definitely give her a listen. The next thing is a single and it is Dream State by Sunlux. Bones by Sunlux, which came out in 2015, is one of my favourite albums like ever. And Dream State is really good as well. I don't really have much to say about it because it's just a single, but it's a good song. Next is Evolve by Imagine Dragons. I'm seeing Imagine Dragons next year in, I think, March, possibly February. Maybe April. No, I think it's March. I can't remember. You've probably heard a lot of the songs of this as well. I think everyone's heard Thunder and like Whatever It Takes and stuff like that. It's on the radio a lot. The entire album is really good. I love Imagine Dragons. I've loved them for years. I think out of all these albums, they are the band or person that I've been listening to for the longest, and every single album sounds like them, but it doesn't sound the same as the last one, which is why it's possible to like them for so long. And yeah, they're such a good band. Next is a little bit different. It's Flower Boy by Tyler, the Creator. I've never really been into rap music like at all before this year, but I found a couple of people who were really good this year. I think I was just listening to the wrong people. Like, I'm really still not keen on Drake and people like that, but I really like this album. I don't listen to it much. Like, I listen to all the other stuff more than I listen to this and a couple of the other rap albums, but sometimes I'm just in the mood for it, so I listen to it. Next is another rap album, which is the other only rap album on this list, but it's Good For You by Amine. I think I'm saying that right. It might be Amine, I'm not sure. I really like Yellow and Dakota and Caroline and some of the others as well. It's just a really good album. Next, Hopeless Fountain Kingdom by Halsey. I love Halsey. I've loved Halsey since Badlands came out. She's so good. I love her. And this album is no exception. In fact, I think I prefer it to Badlands. I definitely listen to it a lot more. I was actually like, when it came out, I was gonna do like a reaction video to it, and then I deleted it because the entire thing, I was just sat there like dancing and being like, yes. Which is, I mean, an accurate depiction of how much I like the album, but it doesn't make much of a good YouTube video. If you don't listen to Halsey, you've probably heard Bad at Love and Now or Never anyway, and if you like them, you should listen to the rest of the album. Don't Play is amazing. Wolves Could Talk is honestly one of my favourite songs from the entire year. It's so good. Heaven in Hiding, the vocals in Heaven in Hiding, oh my god, they're so good. I need to stop talking about this because I will just turn this into like what the reaction video was like before. But if you haven't listened to it and you haven't listened to Halsey at all, listen to that album. It's so good. I think there's something on there for everyone as well. Like, there's some stuff that's kind of like, there's one with Quavo or Quavo. Apparently Quavo isn't a very nice person, but Lie, which is the song with him, is really good. So if you like kind of rapping and stuff. And then there's Sorry, which is like more of a piano ballad type thing. And there's also the stripped versions of everything else on YouTube, which make every single one of the songs into piano ballad. Honestly, there's something for everyone in Halsey's discography, so listen to her if you haven't already. She's so good. Next is another single, which is Idle Town by Conan Gray. He's released 2 singles this year, which are Grow and Idle Town, but I definitely preferred Idle Town over Grow. Grow is a good song, but it's not one of my favourites of the year, whereas Idle Town definitely is. My friend actually introduced me to him. It was the first one of his YouTube videos I watched was his video about Idletown, I didn't actually realise he was like a vlogging kind of person rather than a music person, because that was like his most recent album. Why am I saying this? But it's just such a good mood that the song creates. I can't describe it, but it just puts you in, it's just like, oh, it just completely relaxes you. It's so chill and calm and nice. And the fact that he just like made it all on his laptop in his bedroom is crazy. It's so good. We're about halfway through now. Next is Just the Beginning, which is Grace Vanderwaal's album. She only had an EP before, but that EP was really, really good. I think she was on like The Voice in America or something, I'm not sure, but I saw some people on Instagram talking about her a while ago and I listened to her EP and I really loved it. Songs like Clay and stuff like that. And then she released this and it's so, so good. Songs like City Song and Burned and Florets are some of my favourites. She's just like so different, and the fact that someone who makes music like her has got so, so big is amazing. Some of her stuff, particularly off her EP rather than this album, definitely reminds me of Dodie a lot. So if you like Dodie, which the majority of people subscribe to me do, listen to her music, she's really cool. Next is like kind of technically not released yet, but Mania by Fall Out Boy. It's coming out January the 19th, but they've released a few songs from it already because it was supposed to come out earlier than that, but then they had to push the release date forward. But they've released Last of the Real Ones and Champion and Younger Menace and Hold Me Tight or Don't. And then obviously they've been playing Expensive Mistakes, which is another song from the album, live. They just haven't released a studio version yet, and that is also a really good song. And they are so good. I can tell it's gonna be such a good album. I love all of Fall Out Boy's stuff though. Like out of their entire discography, they don't have a single bad song, which when your discography is so large is kind of rare. I'm seeing them live next March in Manchester with one of my friends and her parents, because her parents like Fall Out Boy as well. So that's gonna be really fun. I'm so excited to see them live. It's gonna be so good. Next one, possibly my favourite album of the entire year, Melodrama by Lorde. If you haven't listened to this album yet, what are you doing? It's so good. It's incredible. I love Lorde so much. I could talk about it for days, but I'm gonna try and keep it short. I actually didn't listen to it when it first came out, even though I've been listening to Pure Heroine like since that came out. I actually didn't listen to Melodrama until like a month or two after it came out, which I really regret now because I missed the UK tour, which Khalid was supporting, so like... But it's just, oh, it's so, so good. It's like pop, but it's alternative pop. Her voice is amazing, she's amazing, her music is amazing. I'm just... She's just so different. It's really, really like almost refreshing to see someone so different that's still kind of like pop. Obviously you've probably heard Green Light, that was in the charts for a while. I think it's still in the charts. My personal favourite songs off the album are Hard Feelings and Loveless, Sober and Sober 2, Homemade Dynamite and Supercut, and honestly like every single song on the album is incredible. It took me a while to like Writer in the Dark, I'm not sure why, but I didn't like that one at first, but I love it now. The high notes and the chorus, oh. Yeah, I just love Lorde a lot, and if you haven't listened to it, you are seriously missing out. You need to listen to it, it's so good. I did try and draw her, but her face is just so like different from normal faces, like in a good way, that I couldn't draw her. So if you can draw her, I have massive respect for you. Next, I have talked about a little bit before, it's Naboo by Mowgli, which is a really small album, so small that it's not copyrighted, so I could technically play it over the top now, but because I haven't done that for the other stuff, I don't want to. I've used his music for a couple of my travel diary audios. I think my New York one and my Bahamas one both had his music on them because, like I say, it's copyright for free, but it is really good. It doesn't have much words in them, most of them, other than the ones that are collabs with other people. But it's kind of like, I suppose it's electronic, but not like dubstep or anything like that. Again, it's one of those things that just kind of like calms you down. It's just like really relaxing. Well, it depends what song you listen to, but most of them are like that. Just kind of have the chill kind of, don't want to say vibe because I'm not cool enough. Next is another single, and it is Nobody Cares by Superorganism. I have mispronounced that name too many times when I've been talking about it to my friends, but I'm glad I didn't. They have two singles which I really like, which is Nobody Cares and Something for Your Mind, but Nobody Cares is my favourite. I don't know how to describe it. It's not quite singing, it's kind of just talking in notes, but it's really, really good. The lyrics are amazing, and I think they're on Vivo Presents or BBC Sound something or other, I don't know. But they're on an advert when I was listening to music on YouTube, and I checked them out and I really, really like them. There's like 8 of them though, I think there's 8. And like 4 of them on all the live performances I've seen just kind of stand there in the background like doing this. It's like, okay. but their music is really, really good and they're so underrated. Next is Revival by Vancouver Sleep Clinic. We're almost at the end. I would say Vancouver Sleep Clinic are very, very similar to Sun Luke's. Forgot what they were called for a second then. Slightly different, slightly less kind of... In Sun Luke's music there's lots of climactic moments where it's like building up and then it's like... Whereas in Vancouver Sleep Clinic it's a lot more kind of chilled out. I mean, it's called Vancouver Sleep Clinic, so it kind of like... It's nothing to do with that, what am I saying? A couple of my favourites from this are Empire, which is probably my favourite from the entire album, Sleeping World, I dropped my phone, Sleeping World, and Revival, like the song Revival. Also the cover art is absolutely gorgeous. The next one I kind of like forgot existed until I was going through my Spotify for this video, but it's Ultra Life by Oh Wonder. Oh Wonder are a band which have got so much bigger since the first time I found them, which was when Dodie did a cover of Drive. They're now like playing arenas, sold out on like every continent, which is incredible. But I absolutely loved their self-titled album, and then this one came out and it's really different. It's a lot more upbeat than the self-titled album, which has that kind of like relaxed, calm thing that a lot of these have. But Ultra Life is much more upbeat, kind of like happy sounding stuff. Most of it anyway. A couple of my favourite songs from this one. A few of my favourite songs from this one are Ultra Life, Heavy, High on Humans, and Overgrown. Oh, and Lifetimes and My Friends. They're all really, really good. Next is something that I found near the end of the year, and it is Visions of a Life by Wolf Alice. I haven't looked into Wolf Alice much. I think they had an album before this. Yeah, they did, but I haven't listened to any of their stuff before this album, so I don't know much about them. However, this album is really good. It took me a while to get used to it. Like, I kind of just added it to my playlist and then the songs would come on every once in a while. I think you could describe it as weird. It is quite weird, but in a really, really good way. Beautifully Unconventional was the first song I listened to, and it's incredible. I love that song. It's kind of got like, I think the entire album has quite a 90s feel to it. Yuck Fu is like a really, really strange song, but for some reason I absolutely love it. And then also Sad Boy is really cool. And then Sad Boy and Saint Purple and Green are two of my other favourites as well. The album art is really, really creepy, but I think it successfully kind of like shows what the album is about, because the lyrics and the way the songs sound are quite creepy, I think, but not in a kind of like spooky, creepy way. Not like, it doesn't sound intentional, it just sounds kind of a little bit unnerving. Next is What Do You Think About the Car by Declan McKenna. Before this album, I kind of like, I followed Declan McKenna on Twitter and I listened to The Kids Don't Want to Come Home on YouTube, but I hadn't listened to any of his other stuff, and then this came out, and he's got so much bigger since this came out, and rightfully so. I'm seeing him live next year. I'm so excited. His live shows look really good. Honestly, I can't pick any favourites from this. Every single song is so, so good. If you've heard any of them, you might have heard Brazil. I think it was on like FIFA or something, but I don't play FIFA, so I wouldn't know. A lot of his music is quite political, but not as in like Labour Party and Conservative Party or Republicans or whatever. Not that type of thing, but kind of like calling out things about society that are bad, basically, is what a lot of his music's about. As with a lot of the other stuff, there's probably like something for everyone on this album. And then he also has a single as well, which I'm not sure if it came out this year or not, but Basic as well. I found that when this album came out, and it's such a good song. Just all of them, they're so good. Finally, which is a good job because I've been filming for an hour now, is Dodie's second EP, You. I'm not even going to say anything about this because I made an entire video dedicated to it, and you all know how much I love Dodie. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you've had a good first day of 2018. I'll leave my Spotify linked in the description, as I said, or you can just follow it. It's at Lucy Isabel with 2 A's. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.